Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a really game-changing book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. The big idea here is, well, it's pretty simple, but it's also powerful. In this world we live in, right, so much distraction, Newport argues that mastering your focus is basically the key to unlocking everything you're capable of. And it all kicks off with one simple question. So let me just ask you, straight up, are you busy or are you actually productive? Think about it for a second. It's a really important question because, as Cal Newport explains, our modern work lives, man, they're just experts at blurring the lines between those two. We feel like we're working nonstop, but are we really making a dent in the things that truly matter? And that feeling, that's what brings us right into our first big topic, the age of distraction. So, what's the core issue that Newport is pointing to? Let's really get into why it feels so unbelievably hard to get anything meaningful done these days. Okay, so you know the modern office, right? There's this huge gap between what it's supposed to be and what it actually is. We're sold the stream of constant collaboration, these amazing innovations just popping up out of nowhere, great team synergy. But the reality? Well, Newport points to places like Facebook and Square, and what he sees is it's a perfect storm for distraction. You've got these open offices, endless pings on IM, and a whole culture built around constant interruption.
And according to Newport, there are these big forces pushing us in this direction. First, there's something he calls the principle of least resistance. Basically, we just default to what's easy, like shooting off a quick email instead of buckling down for some really hard, focused thinking. Then you've got the metric black hole. What's that? It's the fact that it's super hard to measure how much all this distraction actually costs a company, so they don't really do anything about it. And all of this creates a culture of connectivity, this unspoken rule that you have to be online and ready to respond instantly.
And this quote, this just nails it. It gets right to the heart of the whole problem. When we don't have clear ways to tell what's actually productive, what do? We fall back on what people can see. We perform being busy, answering emails in 2 seconds flat, always having that green light on your chat app. It looks effective, but all the while, it's quietly killing our ability to do the work that really counts. So that's the problem, and it's a big one, right? But luckily, Newport doesn't just leave us there. He offers an antidote. And that brings us to the deep work solution. Let's dig into how it actually works. Newport's whole solution really kicks off with this powerful, simple framework. He says there are 2 kinds of work. First, you've got deep work. This is when you're completely in the zone, distraction-free, pushing your brain to its limits. This is where you create brand new value, stuff that's really hard for someone else to just come in and do. And then there's shallow work. This is all the other stuff, the non-demanding logistical tasks, like scheduling meetings or answering basic emails. It's the kind of work you can do while you're distracted, and honestly, it doesn't create a lot of new value, and it's super easy to replicate. The real trick is learning to tell the difference between the two. So why does this matter so much? Why is this distinction so important? Well, because as we're about to see, learning how to do deep work isn't just some nice little productivity hack. In today's economy, it's a legitimate superpower. The power of deep work really comes down to these 3 simple truths. First off, it's valuable. Really valuable. The ability to focus like that lets you master hard things fast and produce work that's truly top tier. Second, it's rare. Like we just talked about, our entire work culture seems almost designed to stop us from doing it, which makes this skill incredibly hard to find. And last but not least, it's meaningful. This kind of intense focus connects you to what you do on a much deeper level, creating a real sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. And to really get what he means by meaningful, Newport tells this awesome story about a guy named Rick Furrer, who's a master blacksmith. For this guy, the intense, painstaking focus it takes to forge a sword from scratch, that's not a chore, that's his purpose. He says it himself, "It is the most complicated thing I know how to make, and it's that challenge that drives me." And Newport's whole point is that we, as knowledge workers, can get that same exact feeling of satisfaction if we start treating our work like a true craft. Okay, so by now you're probably sold on the why, right? But the big question is how? How in the world do you actually pull this off with all the pings and notifications coming at you? Well, let's get practical. Let's look at a blueprint for focus, pulling from a couple of Newport's really actionable rules. So a huge piece of the how is what Newport calls rule number 3, your approach to technology.
See, most of us have what he calls the any benefit mindset. If a tool or an app offers even the tiniest little benefit, we're on board, and we completely ignore the massive distraction cost. Newport says we need to flip that. We need the craftsman approach. You should only pick up a tool if its positive impact massively outweighs all the negative stuff. So you gotta ask yourself, honestly, does this new app really make me better at the most important part of my job? Okay, next up is a rule that sounds kind of weird at first, but it's so powerful. Embrace boredom. Our brains, right now, are just wired to want constant stimulation. So to fight that, Newport has this genius idea. He says, don't take breaks from distraction, take breaks from focus. You actually schedule your internet time, you block it out. The rest of the time, your brain just has to learn to deal with the quiet. And you could even train this focus muscle with what he calls productive meditation. When you're out for a walk or driving, just try to focus on one single professional problem. That's it. It's like a workout for your brain's attention span. So here's the bottom line. This whole deep work thing, it's not just a collection of productivity hacks. It's a fundamental shift. It's about changing how you look at your work and really your whole life. It's all about making a conscious choice to focus. And Newport really sums up the ultimate reward for making that choice. He says that to leave the distracted masses to join the focused few is a transformational experience. Think about that. It's about moving away from that frantic, shallow busyness and into a life filled with real achievement and genuine meaning. So I want to leave you with one final, very real challenge. What is one shallow task, just one, that you can get rid of or at least cut way back on starting tomorrow? Maybe it's a meeting you don't need to be in, an email chain you can mute, a notification you can turn off. Seriously, figuring that out, that's your first step to getting your focus back and starting to do the work that actually matters. Thanks for tuning in.